Hello and welcome to God I Hear You. I'm your host, Renee, and today's title is Uniqueness. Uniqueness. We're going to open up by reading from the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 2. And it reads, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." So, what does uniqueness mean? By definition, uniqueness means the quality of being remarkable, special, or unusual. So, how does that connect with today's title? So, God is calling us to be unique and not conform to the patterns of this world. The world is filled with so many trends. Everyone wants to be an influencer, a streamer, an IG baddie. Everyone wants to live this rich lifestyle, but everyone is starting to blend in. We even see it with how people are looking. We got the BBL girlies, and no shade to the BBL girlies. We have the people that are doing the things to their face, and I find that everyone is not everyone, but a lot of people are starting to look the same. They're starting to post the same, and nobody is looking unique. And the thing about it is, we can't look like the world, act like the world, and expect people to view us different. God is calling us to be unique. We can't conform and change to the pattern of the world, but we need to set our own trends. We need to be unique and stand out. And the thing about that is, it's not to judge others for what they're doing, but it's to bring some visual to the importance of living a model life that reflects Christ. We need to be mindful of how we act, how we present ourselves, and even the things we are putting in our body. Those are the things that we're going to talk about today. We're going to focus on those three areas: how we act, how we present ourselves, and what we allow in. Because those three areas are important to our uniqueness in Christ. And so when we start with how we act reflects character. And by definition, it says this: a person's acts or actions are often a direct reflection of their character, intentions, and values. And so we think about that definition and we have to think about our life. And the question is, does our daily behavior reflect Christ, or does it reflect the world? And this goes to our day to day. When we go to the grocery store, when we go to the supermarket, wherever we're going, gas station, work, how are we connecting with others? And these questions I kept thinking of them. If one of my coworkers were to just be randomly selected, would they think I had a podcast? Would they think I promote God? Would they think I live a model life? And although we can't be stuck on what others think, we should be mindful, because how we act and how we interact with others can help either bring them closer to God or push them farther away. So we really need to be mindful of how we act. And the thing about it is, I know it doesn't matter, like, oh, we can't live for others, but we really should want our life to reflect Christ. And it's so difficult in this world when we're faced with adversity, we're faced with different situations, to always be that. But the goal is not perfection, but the goal is to be unique, and it is to stand out. And so even recently, I found myself in a situation where I was driving home from going out somewhere, and someone was like honking me, honking me, honking me, honking me. And I'm like, dude, like, what's up with you? Like, there's someone crossing the street, and they probably couldn't see that because they were behind me and it was later at night. But they started acting filled with road rage. And to be honest, I feel like it's so infuriated me that I started to respond in that angry way. And when I came home, I felt so guilty. I'm like, even though they sparked me, I need to be cautious of my response. What was me being angry gonna do? If anything, it was just going to make the situation worse. And I started feeling guilty because I'm like, I have to be unique. I have to stand out even when I'm faced with adversity. And it just kept dawning on me, like, what if I was to have gone to a place and that person remembered my face? They'd be like, yeah, that's the girl that was, talking back when I was honking her. And again, it's not about being perfect, but it's about making active efforts to be different, to stand out, to ignore these things. And if we look at our lives and we go through different situations, we need to be cautious of how we are responding, how we're acting, how people view us, because we really need to draw people closer to God and not farther away. And this goes even with church. I remember growing up, and at my church in particular, we had this basketball team. So it was like we would be at church from Sabbath school, church, then AY, and then after activities. And so there was a point where me and my girlfriend, sometimes we would just like change and go into more street casual wear. And I remember changing into, and I can't recall if it had a lot of rips, but again, it wouldn't be something that you would typically wear in the sanctuary of church. But in my head, it was like, okay, we're changing. We're going across the street. We're going to Fox Middle School. I can change. And I remember a lady in particular came up to me, and she was just like coming at me in a way of, why are you putting that on? You're in the house of God. And I'm like, looking back, I understand, like, but it was how she said it, and how she said it made me feel some sort of way towards her and the people in church. And there's importance in that is, yes, we should hold people accountable, but we need to do it with love. We need to make sure our actions are filled with love so that we don't push people away. And I was thinking to myself, even today, earlier today, what if that was someone off the street that came into the church and that was the judgment? Because a lot of people look at the church and they're like, the church is filled with hypocrites. The church is filled with this. And if you're not rooted in God, you won't see past that. You won't see past that. There are people that genuinely do not come to church because of how they think church people are. And the crazy thing is, these same people go to work. They go to the grocery store. They go everywhere. People have to understand that broken people come to church. People that come to church are not perfect, but we need to be mindful of our actions, because our actions should reflect Christ. We are called to be unique. We need to be in this world, but we don't need to be of this world. And when I think about how we act, I think about even how we view leaders, right? And this is a big example, right? If we were to go out somewhere, say we go out late night, hopefully, I retired from that lifestyle, but we go out late night and we go in a club, we see our pastor there, right? We see our pastor there. We see him with a wad of ones. You see him throwing that money in the air and he's smoking a blunt. What are you going to think? You're going to say, his actions don't align with what he is preaching. And everything that he could have done for us, all the sermons that have brought breakthrough and deliverance to us, would mean nothing because we would be focused on his act in that moment. And that's a real outlandish example, but it's just to put the eyesight on how important it is for us to live a life that exemplifies Christ. And how we act is a big portion of it. So that's one, how we act. And one thing that we need to hold on to is we need to be unique. We can't do and act like everyone else and expect to stand out. The second thing is present. How we present ourselves. And that can go from clothing, grooming, body language, social interactions. How we present ourselves is so important. And it makes you think. When we go to our Facebook, what are the things that we're posting? What are the things that we're giving energy to? What are we posting on IG? What does our TikTok look like? And these things that we present, even though sometimes it doesn't directly reflect who we are as a person, people view that like, I think she's into this because of this. And although we shouldn't think like that, we do need to be mindful of the messages we're putting out, what we're putting out. And social media is a dangerous place. Social media has ruined society. Everyone wants to be this celebrity. Everyone wants to think something. It's like a false illusion of life. But even with me, God had to deal with me with my social media, because there was a point, and I need to get back to that because I gained a couple pounds living in Chicago. So I'm gonna get back to my gym life. But there was a point where I got down to such a good weight. I'm posting, I'm feeling myself. And there was a moment that I started feeling convicted by the things I was presenting on social media. And God started to deal with me, and I was fighting it. I was fighting. And I'm like, God, I look good. Come on now. I'm looking good. Stomach is looking flat. So I'm posting these things. And it's like over time, as I drew closer to God, He was telling me, Renee, I called you to be unique. I called you to stand out. I don't want you to blend in and be an IG baddie. I want you to model me. And because of that, He placed it on my heart to take down some pictures. And I fought Him. I'm like, come on, like I ain't showing too much, you know? But that's the thing. How we present ourselves matters. We get caught up in these trends and everything like that. And those trends can make us feel more aligned with the world. And what's interesting is, I will say, about how we present ourselves, I've noticed, me personally, that once my relationship with God became deeper and He started convicting me on certain things, I don't post a certain way. And I was even talking about this the other day, that back then, 2023, man, I posted a picture, I posted a story, heart eyes, da da da, want to take me out on dates, da da da. But that's because what I was presenting was attracting certain crowds. And now that I am presenting myself Christ-like, living that model Christ-like life, I realize, hey, the same people I was hearing from about, I want to take you out, I don't hear from them brothers no more. And that's a good thing. How we present ourselves is actually a protection. It blocks out people that are reaching out to us that have no business even interacting with us. So it's not meant to be, oh, you're going to be, oh, holier than thou, but it's meant to protect you. When you are classy and you are posting a certain way, you're going to attract a classy man. You're going to attract who you present yourself to be. So if you're presenting yourself to be an IG baddie, and even though you in your word, you even doing this, you may not connect with the brother that's doing those things because you don't present what you really internally reflect. Ooh. You don't present what you internally reflect. You have to let your outside presence reflect what's on the inside. And that's a way to protect you. So that's number 2. Protection is there when you present yourself right. And so the third section that we're going to talk about is the things you allow to enter in. The things you allow to enter in. Your body is a temple. What you put in it, whether it's liquor, drugs, people, your body is a temple. You have to protect your temple. Drinking in excess, it's not doing nothing for you. Smoking like a chimney, looking smoked out, that's not doing anything for you. And if anything, you are actually creating portals when you open up yourself to certain things, especially when it comes to people. Not everything walking that looks good needs to be in bed with you. And I hate to say it directly like that, but it's the truth. This society has created this false reality of, My body, my choice. And what it's actually doing is not giving you freedom, but it's giving the enemy freedom to have access to you, to get you in alignment with things that are not spiritually for your good. So you have to know and respect your body. You have to treat your body like a temple. And this goes even past, drinking, drugs, and people. It goes to your lifestyle choices. God wants you to fuel your body and recharge yourself with nutrients. You can't just be eating all that oily food and doing the big back behavior, because when you eat those things, you're not even fueling your brain to feel good. Everything you do needs to be unique. Everything you do needs to be with purpose. God is calling you to be different. He is calling you to be greater. So you can't be like the world, doing what the world does and expecting to stand out. Those things are important. How you act, what you do, how you present yourself, and what you allow to enter into your space. And every conviction is different, but I know that as you get closer to God, He will reveal to you things that He wants you to remove, even pictures that He wants you to take down, because God is just strategic like that. And when I think of the word unique, I think of Daniel. Daniel was a man in the Bible who did not care about the world. He did not care what others thought of him. He did not care. The only thing he thought about is how he was viewed by God. He was striving to be unique. He was striving to stand out. And we're going to take a look in specific at a couple scenarios of where he chose to say, I'm not going to blend in. I'm going to be a standout. I'm going to be unique. And so there was a moment in time where there was a king by the name of Nebuchadnezzar who came over he was king of Babylon, took over Jerusalem. And so when he took over, pretty much everyone that's there, Israelites, are now captive. But King Nebuchadnezzar was strategic. He was very strategic. He reached out and ordered his chief of court officials to select some Israelites that didn't have physical defects, that were handsome, that were well-rounded, well-informed, quick to understand. And he wanted them to pretty much be selected to go through his training program that he had for 3 years to then serve him. And what was strategic about this is when you take over a place, you still have to get to know the place because you have to know how to run it. So he's looking for individuals of class. He's not looking for just anybody. Even that is a message in itself. He's looking for unique individuals to help his kingdom. So here's what the text says. Then the king ordered Aspensis, chief of his court officials, to bring into the king's service some of the Israelites from the royal family and the nobility. Young men without any physical defect, handsome, showing aptitude for every kind of learning, well-informed, quick to understand, and qualified to serve in the king's palace. He was to teach them the language and literature of the Babylonians. So one, we know he's looking for unique individuals, which is a power play. And he's very peculiar about his selection, because he knows when you select the wrong people, you could ruin your plan. Then it says the 4 that were selected. So the 4 that were selected were Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And so when Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were selected, they were selected to then go to this, this kingdom and go through this training program. But within the training program, they were given the king's food and wine. But the king's food and wine were not the best food for them. It was not the best things to provide health and nutrition for them. So what Daniel did was he said, I got to stick up for what I believe, right? I got to say something. So here's what it says. But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine, and he asked the chief official for permission not to defile himself this way. Now, God had caused the official to show favor and compassion to Daniel, but the official told Daniel, I am afraid of my lord the king, who has assigned you your food and drink. Why should he see you looking worse than any other young man your age? The king would then have my head because of you. Daniel then said to the guard, whom the chief official had appointed over Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, please test your servants for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare our appearance with that of the young men who eat the royal food, and treat your servants in accordance with what you see. So he agreed to this and then tested them for 10 days. So this is an important lesson right here. You have Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that are under captivity. Okay? And under captivity, one would say, hush your mouth, go with the program, keep your head down, do it and get out. But no. Daniel said, nah, I'm not going to confine to the world. I'm not going to confine myself to conform to what the king wants. I know what's right for me. I know what God intends for me. He chose to stand out in a moment that it was crucial. There was so much things that could have happened. And this king that we talking about, King Nebuchadnezzar, he was one of those ones not to play with. He was quick to get somebody out of here. Daniel chose to be unique. He chose to stand out even when faced with adversity, even when placed in a situation where all the odds were stacked against him. And what's interesting with this is because he chose to stand out, he was then rewarded, because within those 10 days, certainly they did see a difference. Daniel and the ones that followed his way of eating showed to be sharper, while the others that were eating the king's food and drinking the wine did not appear the same way as them. And so here's what the text says. In specific, it says, at the end of the 10 days, they looked healthier and better nourished than any of the young men who ate the royal food. So the guard took away their choice food and wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables instead. To these 4 men, God gave knowledge and understanding of all kinds of literature and learning, and Daniel could understand visions and dreams of all kinds. And at the end of the time set by the king to bring them into his service, the chief official presented them to Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them and found none equal to Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So they entered the king's service. In every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king questioned them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters in the whole kingdom. There are so many different lessons in this. When you don't choose to conform to the world, you can be rewarded. You can be rewarded with things like wisdom, knowledge, understanding, favor. God is calling us to be different. We can't blend in with our surroundings. He is calling us to be different. And when we make that bold decision to say, I'm going to step for what I believe in, I'm going to step for God, God will do the rest. He will do the rest. And it's so crazy because I feel like in society, we have been treated in a way of, if we don't agree with everyone, if we don't look that certain way, we're not cool enough, we're not with it, we're canceled. And that's not how life is supposed to be. That's not how things are supposed to be. God has called us to be different. We have to be a unique, peculiar people. No matter what it costs us, we have to be different. Our words have to be different. Our actions have to be different. How we live has to be different. Because what we are assigned to do on this world is different, is to make change. So we can't blend in with what's around us. In 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9, it reads, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into the wonderful light." Different. We're different. Let's not be like the world. Let's be better than the world. And when I think of uniqueness, I think of a valuable lesson that I learned in church. We had an instructor. She was actually the director. Her name was Miss Joni. And I remember she sat us down because we were in Pathfinders. And for those that don't know what Pathfinders is, it's a program that you go in when you're like 10 through like 17, and you go through different stages, and you have different instructors that teach you different things about Christianity, how to walk with God, different things. It's a great program, and it's within the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So I remember we had a particular lesson that Miss Joni was teaching us on what it means to be peculiar. And she really broke down the title of the definition of what it meant to be peculiar. And I couldn't help but think during those lessons, like, I want to be peculiar. I want to be a chosen one. I don't want to look and blend into the world. I want to stand out. When God sees me, I want to get, thank you, Renee, my good and faithful servant. But in order to get that, we can't be like the world. So that message of peculiar stuck with me. And it relates to today. You have to be unique in a world that's trying to get you to blend in. And another lesson that we need to know is the change needs to start now, because there is a time that is coming where being unique is going to cost us, and it's going to cost us even our life. That's where the world is heading. You have to look at the signs, look at the times that if you go on social media right now and you say something that the other person doesn't like, you're canceled. They're calling your job. They're saying this person posted about this. This person is a left. This person is a right. No one can have their own opinion. They want you to have the opinion of the world. But you have to be strong. You have to be courageous. You have to say, you know what? Despite what the world is telling me to do, I'm going to stand. I'm going to have faith. I'm going to be grounded in my faith. And that happens with how you present yourself, how you act, and the things you allow around you. God is calling you to be different. He is calling you to be greater. And just because the world wants you to conform, you have to be strong. You have to be courageous. Be unique in how you act, how you present yourself, because those things are fruitful. Whatever you put out there can either attract good or it can attract evil. So the message for today is, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed. Be mindful of how you act, and be mindful of it because of your relationship with God. Be mindful of what you do, how you present yourself, what you wear, what you're putting out there. Know that how you present yourself can attract certain things. And when you're called for greater, God has a unique blessing in store for you. So the message for today that I want us to really understand is, don't conform to the pattern of this world, but be unique. Be unique in God. Be unique in everything you do. So thank you again for tuning in. If you like it, go ahead and like it. If you want to send it, go ahead and send it. I appreciate you all, and until next time, take care.